Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the EU Masters. My name is Munchables, and I'm joined by the one and only Gulbo as we head
That was
into
the
our
worst one
third cast
yet.
of the day. Give me a rating out of 10. How was that?
That was like a 3 or 4. What
A
was that?
3?
Okay, so
All right.
just for the record out there, right? So I don't know what he just said, but it's pronounced Gulbo. It's just Gulbo.
Gulbo.
It's just
That's what I said.
that
Anyway,
was
look, this stream isn't about you, Gulbo. The stream is about the teams. Let's talk about Anno. Let's talk about Kick because they both played already today, and had reasonable performances. Both of them coming out with a loss, but importantly, when we look at these stats, we've got to talk about the mid lane. JoJo's versus Matislaw. Both of these players in their individual games look like the highlight players for their two teams.
Yeah, especially Mattia for what we just saw. And I kind of said that I wanted this pressurized play to come out for him. The fact that he got the Syndra into the REM matchup where he could get the pressure, so we could actually see Bruness get out and have impact into jungle as well, was absolutely huge. I think that is going to be hard right now. And the reason why I think that is going to be hard is because I know they kind of cheat away the pressure you get in the mid lane. Last game, we just saw them play against Big. They still got the first blood in the mid lane because Dominant, he's just going to skip some camps and just come in on a timer where you do not expect a gank. He's just going to come in there and reclaim the pressure by himself. And that is something that Anno does very well. They have to play for this early game. I'd say it's the only thing they've kind of done well lately because when they get to that mid game, if they're not feeling confident, then they'll just say, screw it, we'll go in anyway. It's what we know. It's the style we play and we'll stick to that. And at some point, you got to respect that. But sometimes, we just saw it against Big. It kind of just completely faltered. So if they can keep the ball rolling from the side of Kick this time around and you get to the late game, like you just did with the game against Makers, well, you should be go, stylistically speaking.
Here's the thing, right? And, I'm an LPL commentator, so take my words with a pinch of salt. I'm a bit of a lunatic, and I like action. But Anorthosis, guys, you are the last hope of your region, of the GLL, and you came in looking real good at the start of week 1. You came in with some banger games. You came in with your own crazy style, and I say stick to that style. Sod the Udyr pick. We saw that from you earlier today. I like the adaptation, but don't go to the meta. Play that style that you're bringing to the table. Give us the Garen jungle. Give us the Xin Zhao. Give us the stuff that gives you that flair, that gives you that individuality, and I think that's the way to succeed.
So what I'm hearing is, you want that style of me, Xin Zhao, or what am I getting off this?
Precisely. Do you know what I actually want? I want the Kayn, because we haven't seen the Kayn coming out from our boy Dominant just yet. He played it one time in the regular split, and I wrote down his scoreline on that, but off the top of my head, it was like 28, 2, and 6 or something insane. He had an unbelievable performance on that Kayn in the regular split, but he only played it the one time. Kayn's kind of in the meta. We saw a ton of Kayn yesterday. Bring it out, Dominant. Let's see it. I'm totally down for that.
I mean, you know what? Maybe your prayers will be heard because, to set the expectation of this GLL team that is Anorthosis, Famagusta, Esports, you can't have any one of them. They'll just throw something at you that you're not ready for. That's kind of what they did around playoffs. No one was ready for the Garen jungle. No one was ready for Dominant to just come in with these crazy picks. And it's what worked for them. In the regular season of the GLL, they finished third. They weren't even top 2 in the regular split. But when they got to playoffs, when they got to play their style, well, that's when it worked for them. They just kept upsetting people. And that's the position they've always found themselves in. They had to be the one upsetting the opposite team. And I'd say that they are still in a position where they can do that against Kick. And they're in a position where they have to do that against Kick.
And importantly as well, when we think back to last week, this was the first series that Anorthosis got for themselves. They played against Kick and they won. This was the opponent that Anorthosis put themselves onto the EU Masters map with, and I'm hoping for Anorthosis' sake, that's a hard thing to say, that they can get themselves a win here today, because I want to set the stakes as we head into Champ Select here. This is as important of a game as it could be for Anorthosis. They have to get a win here if they want to survive and try and make it to the group stage. If Kick win this game, this group is all but over. The top 2 seeds will have been decided as Makers and Big. So Anorthosis, they have their work cut out if they want to make it to playoffs.
Yeah, and this time around they're just adapting. Udyr ban, there's Zoe ban coming out as well. And you can see kubYD, he was allowed that Thresh one time. And that was when he was playing against Kick. They crashed a wave on the third wave, and he just roamed up towards that mid and got a Mat Life hook onto Matislaw. And you can clearly see that PTSD is still around. And speaking of, respect, Fiora being banned against WouLou, and Sinsao has come out. And then I'd say this is probably the most ideal scenario for them, is that they get this Hecarim.
Exceptionally stealthy fix up there, but as the Hecarim first pick is locked in. We talked about Dominant earlier today. He loves these junglers that spin around. The Garrett, the Hecarim, the Xin, the Kayn. He's got one of those helicopter champions in the Hecarim. On the other side, though, a fast rotation here from Kick with a Lillia, as well as a Varus for Puki style.
And this is very interesting because if you look at these bans, I'm looking at 2 AD carries who's usually on that table. And I'm talking about Tristana, I'm talking about Jinx here. And they actually have the Varus priority coming outside from the side of Kick. I don't know if it's because they want to play a poke Varus or another kind of Varus where they don't have to rely on Puki too much. But we did see him of the Tristana earlier where he could not get that impact down. And it's not going to be the Tristana. It's not going to be the Jinx. It's going to be the Kai'Sa of all people to come down here. And you can lock that up with a Nautilus lane if you want to. You still have the Rell as well if you want to lock that in. There's also the Orianna you can just secure for Jojo. A lot of option to gain pressure from Anno is here right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to give any credence to what JoJo's has been hovering here. A few different picks, but it's going to be the Rell. In the end, for kubYD here, a lot of all-in potential. We see this combo often, the double horse, right, where you just have insane team fight engaged from both of them. But over to you here, Goldborg. What do you expect from Kick?
Well, I would love if they just secured the Orianna here straight up, or the Twisted Fate. We saw that's something they love as well, and you can actually utilize that pressure towards someone else, but they are just going to be locking down the Alistar matchup into the Rell. I still think there were some options like the Kackos or other CC champions you could put out there, but they're just valuing this too high for Raxxo, and with this, I'm expecting the solo laners to be pinched out here, and from the other side, like, it's only solo lane span left, and that means whatever solo lane Kick is banning is also a ban towards themselves. So they have to be really sure what they want to go towards, and they're actually saying, screw this, we don't even want Orianna. We're just going to ban it.
Yeah, so Matislaw, no Zoe available, Orianna now banned. Things like the Victor would still be available, so if they leave that open, Matislaw could go for that himself. But remember, we have a Lillia here. So AD mid laners do start to become an option. You could potentially go for something like a Renekton and have it as a flex option, or things like the Lucian as well. So there are things available. I know I'm bringing the LPL in here.
I was going to say, I think there's a bit too much LPL in there. I would love to see more Renekton mid, because I actually think there's genuinely a lot of instances where it could have worked out, specifically when Sylas has been so meta as it is. But I think the Lucian is a better response here into this. When you already have that AP jungler, as you said yourself, there is also the opportunity of still going for that control mage and having that double AP and just lock in a Renekton as R5, even though I know a lot of people out there is not too happy about that. But it is actually just going to be the Jayce to come in here. So there's a lot of poke already from the side of Kick. You have that Varus piercing arrow, and now you get Kackos with the Jayce as well.
Yeah, dude, I'm ready for the Xerath final lock or something crazy, because obviously that Zoe's already gone, which is your standard long-range mid laner that we usually see. But still Victor available. Diana gets locked in. Woo-hoo! I have no idea who that's going to. It's got to be WouLou, right? You assume? Maybe it's a mid-lane Diana, but we got a wombo coming.
And that's the thing, like, I don't think Diana does too well into Jayce. Just when I'm not an expert on that matchup. Don't see it very often. I'm very sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's a mid lane Diana. And when you blind pick that is just crazy. Sylas is going to be the instant response here. And I have to say, there's a lot of good Sylas ultimates to steal here. Like, Ornn can create a huge team fight for the Sylas. You got the Hecarim we've seen multiple times. Even Rell with the disruptive Magnum Storm can be somewhat annoying to play against. And of course, the Diana ultimate in team fights. There's a lot of value for Matislaw here.
I am very excited for this game all of a sudden. I was already excited for this game, and now I'm pushing a 10 at this point. We talked about the mid lane matchup. We said JoJo's versus Matislaw. We pointed out the stats. And both of these mid laners very high on the kill participation. Jojo's the first in terms of mid laners for kill participation. So now we have to see if he could step up. We said we were going to see wacky picks from Anorthosis. I was expecting them from Dominant and WouLou. These are the guys that have built a reputation. I mean, there's a Fiora ban and a Xin Zhao ban there from kicking the first rotation. That's the craziness we've been seeing. But Jojo's bringing it out. And now, as we said, huge teamfight potential. Huge wombo combo right there. Over to the side of Kick, though. What do you expect from them in how they have to play this game out?
I don't think they have to worry too much. Like, yes, there is obviously still the Kai'Sa that is scaling on the other end, but I think you have a lot of tools here to still create a good mid-game here if you can get into it with the curve here. But I think a lot of it has to come around from the early game as well. We've talked about this before. Anno is a team that likes to just come straight at you, no matter what they have. Right? They just love that early game. So as Kick, I think it's about knowing your limit. It's about knowing and respecting your enemy as to where they can be. So I think jungle tracking in the early game is going to be extremely important. Because even when Big played against Anno earlier today, and they had the early ward, knew exactly where Dominant started, they still got first blood in the mid lane, because he was just like, all right, I'll just clear my blue side and rock straight into mid. And these are the small things you have to respect, so you can go even or head into the mid game.
Yeah, so again, let's reset stakes here. Anno need to win this game if they want to be able to make it to playoffs. For Kick, they're already out of the running at this point. You can see Matislaw continuing to spam that rogue emote as well. I don't think that it was to do with the fact he was against an Ultra League or against a Polish mid laner before. I think it was just a matter of Matislaw repping Aggo Rogue now as he also goes out of the group stage. Very sad story for the Ultra League so far in EU Masters. But they have one team left. They have Illuminar remaining. Maybe need to start spamming Illuminar remotes instead. But let's talk about Jojo's here. He's on a Diana. Like, talk to me, Google. What do you expect out of this Diana mid? Have you seen a Diana mid in the last, 7 years? I know I haven't.
I think the last time I saw our Diana mid was when Doinby pulled it out after, early last year. And outside of that, I mean, it's really been a while. For the most part, she's popped up in the jungle because she gets attack speed from the abilities now. She's got quite a fast clear, but it's still going to be, I mean, a melee champion going into you, and she's going to have a lot of burst with the shields. If you get ahead of the curve, if you have the item, she's just going to straight up one-shot you with the electrocute. But outside of that, Munch, my understanding of the Diana in this current patch is literally not that huge. So I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to learn a bit from Jojo, see what he's prepared for us. Because while I still said Kick could just go they want to get into the mid game quite comfortably, so can Anno. They still have a really good team fight composition if they get ahead. There's a lot of disruptive forces. You get the Rell with the Magnetic Storm, you got the Diana, you got the CC from Ornn and Hecarim, and then LOCKIE to dive in and finish it all off. If they snowball with this composition, it can be very hard for Kick to fall behind, for Kick to come back.
Yeah, that'll be the question, is if Kick can come back later on into the game, which has regularly been the story for Kick. And as you can tell by the scoreboard at the top of the screen, the answer has been no every single time at EU Masters. It's not pretty. And remember that this is not the first time Kick have been here at EU Masters, but it is a much less successful attempt than previous times. When you think of Matislaw and Puki style, these are players with huge amounts of history in EU Masters, especially Puki style. This guy started a storm on Twitter where everyone was changing their profile pictures to match him. That's the amount of support that Kick managed to garner for themselves. This time around, we're not really seeing the same level of hype.
Nah, and I think they could really use that support as well, because as you said yourself, they are a bit of a shadow of they are standing in the shadow of their former glory here a bit, but inevitably they can still come back, and we've seen loads of Polish teams do that every year. Like, they are really good at developing and nourishing their talent. That's what we said as well. Like, what was it, 25 players of our players in this tournament are Polish, and that is just a testimony to how many players, good players, this region is actually producing.
Yeah, it is really, really impressive, but I have to say, in terms of the performances on day 5 and 6 of the group stage here, it's been less of a Polska Gorm and more of a Polska Grumble on this one. Dominant looking for a 1v1 with Bruness here. It's an 8-legged battle for the Scuttle Crab that has 6 of its own, and Kackos moving down with 2. Jojo's also 2 legs. This is a very legged battle. It will be the Scuttle Crab for Bruness here. Smite not available, actually. It won't go for him. Dominant, I think, finished that. Or maybe Kackos got it? I didn't quite see who finished it off, but Bruness now getting chased down through the jungle. Dominant there to keep this one going. Flash from WouLou, but it's answered by Bruness. And it was Anno that managed to get the Scuttle Crab in the end. Matislaw will be able to protect his top laner here.
Yes, but they are looking for blood. They even put kubYD up here with the wave thrower, and they're still going on.
Yeah, WouLou just face checks into that one. I'm not entirely sure why. As kubYD moves in, but WouLou's gone down. He went in way too early. kubYD's only level 2 against 2 level 4 solo laners. It's going to be a 2v2 here, but I've got to say, Kick, I feel like could maybe fight a little more, but JoJo's moving in as well. I feel like, yeah, they maybe made the right call to respect the 3v2.
And this is just Anno as we know them. Like, we have seen very few games from them at the EU Masters tournament, but they're just out for blood every goddamn time, and it does not matter if it's not favorable for them. They will look for it, but the crucial part there was that WouLou, he had used his flash to try and get a pick onto Bruness, so when he went back into that pixel bush, he just got punished. And speaking of punished, well, LOCKIE was all on his lonesome down in this bot lane, and he was being sown off of all that experience right here. So you can actually see he's a level down onto Puki style at the moment. So all in all, that was just Anno losing out on all fronts. Well, there's a really nice trade from Matty in the mid lane as well. Will not even take a tower shot.
Yeah, so let's reiterate what our win conditions were comparatively to where we are in the game. Maybe I don't have time, because we've got a bit of a fight here. Anno starting things off once again. But Kick have started off with an advantage. We said, talking about this game, that it was going to be dominant in the squad. It was going to be Anno that were kicking things off early on and trying to find advantages. That has not been the case at all. It's very much been about Kick finding advantages early on here. And with WouLou on this Ornn, he's really struggling on the top side of the map in that 1v1 with Kackos.
Yeah, and you can see that they're using all the priority they can to just steal away all the resources from Dominant as well. Wolves out of the picture, Kackos is up here. Even Raxxo from the bot lane is up here to make sure that Dominant will not get any CS or monsters whatsoever. So we were talking about level deficits in the bot lane. Well, there's also one in the jungle now with Bruness just hitting level 5 and Dominant having nothing of his blue side to clear. And to make matters worse, well, Scuttle just respawned on the bot side of the map. And, well, Puki had a lot of pressure going down there as well beforehand, so this is not looking too hard for Dominant. But if I know Anno right, and I claim to I do, they are probably going to be looking for a fight very soon or a skirmish out of nowhere to get this priority back in this game.
Well, Drake is up on the map and Dominant is on that side of the map. LOCKIE will have to go and respond to the wave in this bottom side though, so perhaps Anno can't really go for a fight just yet, but they're just going to start the Drake off anyway. They know that Bruness is going to be on this side of the map because he was pathing from that top side when he took the jungle away, but it looks like this will just be the Drake given over anyway, as Bruness not willing to contest this one. I'm curious what Bruness is doing right now, because he was just hanging out at the side of mid lane here. Now moves into this river. Matislaw's level 6, gonna get the fear down. That's a lot of damage onto Dominant. Raxxo's here to stop him escaping, but Bruness is in trouble as well. Dominant is the one to finish the kill as JoJo's actually gets the credit in the end. Crescent Strike across 2 now, but he's knocked up. Puki style is here to try and sweep the kill up. Q not available, but Matislaw's happy to take it. That's 2 for the Polish mid laner.
And that is just absolutely crazy from Anno. We knew they wanted to go for a fight, and they just straight up started up that Drake to the point where Kick, they were not even ready for that. Wait, okay,
I
guess.
Well, Dominant, you can't 1v1 that guy. That's not how this works. Now 4 stacks on the Dark Sail. Matislaw, he doesn't care if he's out of the playoffs. He wants this game.
I mean, if you're going to go out, you might as well go out with a bang, right? And Matislaw for sure trying to do that 3:07 minutes into the game. This has been the guy we've been hyping up every goddamn time we see him. This is the Matislaw from the Ultra League of Kick.
So Matislaw finally steps up here. It's a little bit too late. It's a bit sad, honestly, that this is the game where he really steps up. But a game is a game is a game is a game, and he's going to take the advantage that he's got the hat trick in his pocket already. It's a 2,000 gold lead for Kick here, and I want to reset the stakes, but I'll do that after this replay.
Yes, a replay coming in, and Matty, you can see he's just so confident, or else he just doesn't care. He just knows he's got a lead with that Hecarim ultimate, but this is the real damage coming out from that Diana onto Bruness. He was just not ready for it, and yeah, JoJo, no flash, no really way of getting out of this, and they're just going to be gifting over the kill to Matislaw. So a 1-for-1, but Drake once again did go over to Kick. Oh, Anno, excuse me, the Drake did go over to Anno, and with that, Rift Herald as well going over to Anno. So just like this really high pressure early gameplay they have, still working out for them in terms of objectives, but in terms of kills, in terms of pressure on the map, in the lanes and plates, Kick is still winning out. You can see the gold lead right now. After this play, they should be up like almost 3k here, so or 2.8. So it's going really well for them.
Yeah, they've got 3 plates in that bottom side. They've also got a plate in the mid lane as well, but the Herald in the pocket of Dominant should be able to answer that at least somewhere on the map, and it looks like it will be the top side. LOCKIE is there already. This should be guaranteed at least 3 plates for themselves, but it's possible they could finish a tower here. This is a massive minion wave. If they can get a couple of plates before dropping that Herald down, might just be able to be the tower finished off. It'll be a race on the bottom side, but WouLou, I think, is there to be able to just clear the waves and keep this tower alive.
Yeah, and it was a stacked wave on the top side as well. Kackos not really feeling himself up there. So yeah, this should just be the first turret going over to LOCKIE, who's a pivotal member of getting that gold in. Yes, you can lose out in the early game. Well, as to say that, WouLou might finally be punished for being a weak sider.
There's a knock-up going through. Flash away from WouLou. Can he survive this one? He's going to be marked there, but Raxxo, nice headbutt there, denies any kind of outplay, and Puki style gets himself the kill. The tower we talked about did go down, and now Anna want to keep the pace going. Kackos there underneath the tower. This will be a second charge at minimum as LOCKIE moves in, and Dominant, he doesn't want to let Kackos defend unanswered. In with the killer instinct, the knock-up is there, and Kackos is eliminated. If you're going to take out WouLou, you got to answer on the top side. The tower I don't think will be taken down here, as Matislaw is looking to answer. Flash away from kubYD, but he's answered by Matislaw. The pole in the mid lane wanting a little bit more, but Matislaw's shut down here by JoJo's.
And that's just not worth it. You're in a killing spree. You had 3 kills. Yes, you can get an extra kill onto the support, but you don't have to do that at all. That's fine, Matislaw. Just go out. And I think Kackos here really disrespecting how much damage can come out from the dominant side. We see it here down in the bot side. This on, at this point in time, this far up in the lane, I mean, you always go down here. There is no way you can outplay this one. There's too many tanky members. Even the Alistar could just be tanking it up. And he will. Goes down here. But it's the top side where the real threat is here. Second charge onto Herald. That's fine. But Kackos here does have flash, which just never gets to use it. The onslaught of shadows into the E from Rell with the stun into LOCKIE, who's just there to pick up the kill. Extremely well coordinated, and this is kind of just the overstep. Matislaw does not need to go in here. He's got a killing spree, doesn't need to do anything, and I think the only sad part for Anno here is that LOCKIE didn't get that kill.
My poor kubYD. He was level 5, Matislaw was level 9. Like, how are you ever going to survive that play? A 4-level difference between Kick's mid laner and Anno's support there. You know, it's a minor consolation prize in favor of Kick, but Matislaw, that was not worth trading your life for, mate. And now, we talked about the gold difference. It is still in favor of Kick right now, but it's only 1,000 in favor. And Anno got the first Drake of the game. Now looking for a second one as well. But Dominant only just leaving the base here. Bruness is already here, so I think WouLou posturing like they have more pressure on this than they actually do, but with the rest of their squad moving over, with Kackos up on the top side of the map, this should be the Drake taken here by Anno, aside from some kind of miracle from Bruness, but not going to happen. Drake taken.
Yeah, Dominant didn't even end up being there. He had to back because he could insta-buy the chem tank. He only had 2 ruby crystals and the Ornn boots of lucidity. Oh, he might even get caught here. Onslaught of Shadow aggressively.
Yeah, a bit of a fear coming on through, but looks like the swirl seed will be dodged, and I think everyone backs away in the end. That was Kackos TP used, by the way. That's actually a huge advantage for Anno. Oh, is it though? Because Matislaw's found yet another target. WouLou's in trouble here. Ult comes on through. Will find the knock-up, the double brittle, the triple brittle for the combo. But you can't assassinate Sylas. He's got too much healing. Now kubYD looking for an engage. The Magnet Storm is there, the stun. But, I mean, yeah, you know, it was an attempt. You get an A for effort on that one, mate. Now the sleep coming down onto the horsey. Raxxo in with the play as well. Kackos here for the damage. And Anno, they knew they were outnumbered on this side of the map. I don't know why they're fighting.
Not only that, they didn't have the onslaught of shadows either. It was just, why would you go for that play? Your carries were not in a position where they felt confident to fight that. And yeah, I don't know, maybe some miscommunication. Maybe kubYD just saw a play that wasn't really there. But yeah, as you said yourself, a bit optimistic. And that does once again put the favor to the side of Kick. Every time they can get an advantage, they will take it. Now the red buff being stolen away by Bruness. And one thing is still going well from the side of Anno. They are getting these objectives, but for the next Drake you're going to be fighting, you're probably going to be around 3k down. The first items are going to be coming through from the side of Kick, and when they do that, you are going to be feeling that gold deficit.
You certainly are, and Bruness is going to start to feel the control deficit that's happening right here as Anno move into the jungle and will grab themselves a blue buff here. It's going to go on to Dominant, but let's just take a moment to look at the scoreboard. Maybe we don't have time. Raxxo face checking into this one. I think he should be able to get away with his life. A bit of a charge coming out from the horsey, but he's fine. Look at Matislaw's score right now. Already with the Everfrost. 5-1-1. He's even in CS as well. It feels like this is the game for our Polish carry duo that have been on Kick for so long. Like, the last 2 EU Masters, this carry duo showed up on Kick and they made it out of groups. They made it to playoffs, and it feels like this is a bit of a commiseration game for them as a squad, but at least they're finally showing up and having a good game for themselves.
For sure, and they should be able to make this game even better for themselves with the pressure they've gained on the top side of the map, take down this tier 2 turret, but they can also get at the Herald here, and after they get the Herald, well, they can be looking towards opening up that mid lane. You've already got 2 of the side lane turrets, you only need to get that mid lane turret. It's always a bit of a needle in your side if you want to create plays in the jungle that your opponent has a safe tower to go onto. So if you can get that away from the equation, it's going to be really easy to look towards the future where you're going to be setting up for Drake, where you're going to be clearing out the camps, where you can actually make use of that gold lead and advantage that you have gained yourself. So that's what I want to see from the side of Kick here. I want to see them get the Herald, I want to see them push in the side lanes, and I want to see them collapse onto this mid lane so they can open up the map for themselves.
We'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen for them. Drake coming up in a minute and a half here. I'm not entirely sure on the timing for the Herald, fortunately. That is the nature of League of Legends, though. You don't usually get a timer for the Herald, but it's going to be Matislaw with an Ornn ulti here. As Dominant moves in, we'll be able to steal away that crab. Oh, no, actually, it was Bruness that managed to smite it in the end here. Fear going out onto Bruness. It's maybe an overcommitment from Dominant. He's going to be put to sleep himself. Huge amount of damage going through, but a second Ornn across the team to move forward with some good damage. Matislaw goes down, shut down into the pocket of JoJo's, and a little bit more as Anno push forwards, but Kick have found one. A root comes in. JoJo's turns golden, keeps himself alive. In with WouLou, who's tanky, but JoJo splashes out the swirls he dodged away from, and the rest of the team taken apart. LOCKIE with a double kill, and he wants Puki style as well. One more auto to finish it, but Bruness in, shuts down the triple kill, and now onto WouLou as well. He wants a little bit more. Bruness goes in, but perhaps too deep on this one. Dominant backs away.
But why are they allowed to get a fight like that? Please! They shouldn't be allowed. Dominant, as you said yourself, it looked like he was just being a bit too overconfident here. We get the replay, and from this point in time, Kick, you have the all ultimate, you have the disengage, you have the flash onto Bruness. Just get out of there. You don't have the man advantage yet. They're coming out of the base right now. You are not in a favorable position to fight. And Anno, they're just capitalizing on that. You can see they're just walking in and out. Then the top side of them are like, you know what, that'd be right nice getting this red buff. Bot side of them are like, alright, let's kill Kackos. They get the red stuff buff, and they're like, alright, now I'm ready to fight. Gets in there and gets a triple kill for LOCKIE, the guy you do not want to get fed on the side of Anno. He's your late game win condition. And I just think he became active out of that after that skirmish.
Oh, Matislaw toying with the idea of going in there. But importantly, Matislaw going in first, perhaps not the best way forward for Kick. That's exactly what we just saw in that last play, but now he has an onslaught of shadows. If he can get onto JoJo's, onto LOCKIE, that could be the way in, but LOCKIE, getting himself that triple in the last fight, has the upgraded Q now, has a ton of assassination potential with that Gale Force in his pocket as well. Remember, this would be the 3rd Drake in a row for Anno, and it looks like it's going to be uncontested here. Kick still in the mid lane, it'll just be burnt on down here. Bruness trying to move over, but you can't face check into an Ornn, into a Rell. There's just no way. So Herald down in the mid lane instead. And answer as the inside track is here. It's 3 Drakes for Anno, but it will be traded in terms of 2 towers here, as the mid tier 2 will go down as well. Anno potentially looking for a fight coming with the bit of a flop on the flash there. Ornn across 2, in goes Raxxo for a bit more. We got chaos on our hands as Raxxo stunned up. kubYD goes down though. Matislaw into the fray. Raxxo low on health. Is Puki style getting chased by JoJo's, but flashes the moonfall. Puki style showing up in style. LOCKIE in a 1v3. Take down. Triple for Puki. Matislaw once more as well. Can't quite find the connection, but it's still a fight for Kick.
And the late game has arrived for Kick here. It looked dire in a small situation there. Anno, every time you see them ready for a fight, every time you see them with blood in their eyes, you gotta worry. But this time around, Kick felt confident. Raxxo getting in there with the combo, lining it up beautiful for Puki to have a triple kill here. And take a look at the pressure, or at least the space that's being created here. They're going up to 3 members, actually getting 3 knockups here, but they're just not in a position to capitalize on it. And once Raxxo is diving forward, you can see the Alistar right now. It's just a wall that's guarding them. Matislaw comes in to be another wall as the Alistar falls, and it's just easy for Puki to pick up these members who's been split around while he's got his bodyguards to protect him.
Yeah, that beautiful flash as well away from the moonfall from Puki. That was so crucial in that fight. And we're getting to the point now where Kick, with a 5.5, almost 6,000 gold lead in their favor, they are feeling good. They've got all of the kills to work with. When you look at these carries, 5 kills on either of them, both of them individually with a 1,000 gold lead. You have to start to wonder, what do Anno still have in the tank? Because yes, they've got an Ornn, but let's be honest, this is not the most late game of late game compositions that we've ever seen.
It's most certainly not, and you've also gone for the Gale Force, so you want to get in there and one-shot someone with the mobility you have in the Kai'Sa, so these extended team fights are always going to benefit Kai'Sa, but not to the full extent that we've seen some do in the past. But what we know Anno has been good at is just be creating a fight out of nowhere. And Munchie should know this. As an LPL caster, as an LPL connoisseur, I know you are a big fan of Anno, and for that reason alone, that is what's going to bring them back. The fact that they're willing to take a fight on their own terms out of nowhere is probably going to be what is going to catch Kick off guard. We've seen it happen multiple times, but at the same time, it can also be their undoing. It's a bit of a double-edged sword here, really.
Bit of a double-edged sword, that is for sure. But Bruness, toying with the idea of going for the blue buff, decides to back away in the end. Baron is on the cards, and you know what? We've been talking a bit about the LPL today. We've been talking a bit about that more aggressive style. One thing we get all the time in the LPL is 20-minute Barons. Anno toying with the idea there. They're just going to be clearing vision, though, because guess what? Kackos on the bottom side of the map right now on that Jayce has a lot of ability to take down towers. With a Mana Moon, with that Eclipse in his inventory as well, he will be able to just shred towers, and it has to be respected from Anno. WouLou moves down to clear the way.
Yeah, and should evolve into Mirror Mana just temporarily as well. Just not many stacks away from that. So a lot of these power spikes are going to come through from the side of Kick. 2 items now, both onto Matislaw and onto Puki style. So the pressure around these next objectives is going to be absolutely huge. But the most important part is that Anno still has these power spikes themselves. For JoJo, yeah, Diana, it's not like the 3rd item yet, but he does still have the opportunity to one-shot someone if he's getting the help from some of his teammates. You still have a lot of backline dive here. You got the Kai'Sa, you got the Rell, you got the Diana, you got the Hecarim. Like, there's 4 people here with the availability of diving into your backline. Even the Ornn ultimate can get in there. And that's the most pivotal part. If you can force someone to spells before an objective, if you can set yourself up for a victory where you can pick up these members by themselves by creating a split team fight, that would be very ideal for you, because you have a lot of tools to make that sort of team fight work on your team.
Yeah, it does feel like we've got 2 kind of opposite fighting styles, right? Where Anno just want to group up, be a big death ball, slam all your ults together, wombo combo, old school League of Legends style. Whereas Kick, very much the opposite. They want to be spread out. They want to be getting poked down before the fights. They want to be utilizing the Jayce and the Varus range. They might not be able to, with Kackos getting caught out in this bottom side of the map. Dominant just getting some damage out, but the fear keeping Kackos in the play. Killer Instinct comes through to save the jungler, as Dominant also almost went down there. But the Drake coming up in 10 seconds time. Kick are desperate to get this one. They're desperate to deny the soul they found. JoJo's Moonfall is available. He jumps straight onto Puki style, but he's got to stop watch and keeps himself alive here. Puki style now flashes over the wall, keeps himself safe. Dominant over, finishes him off alongside WouLou as LOCKIE goes down as well. Both AD carries gone. Bruness still on the scene, dishing out damage alongside Matislaw, and this is looking like a fight for Kick right now. WouLou left alone in the fray. The rest of his team had to back away. Dominant didn't have the health for the fight after the pick that happened onto Kackos, who has TP. Forget Dragon. This is a potential Baron for Kick.
I don't think they're going to be able to pull off the Baron before the respawns is coming through here. They kind of missed that sustainable damage of, like, what's it called?
Kackos could have TP'd for it. They definitely could have gone for that.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree on that one, Munch, but we are going on to the Drake instead here, where they are finally getting one on the board, while Matislaw, well, he's just doing Matislaw's things in the mid lane. He doesn't care if he's 2v1ing. Look at that health.
Yeah, he's 2v1ing, and Dominant and JoJo's are afraid to contest him because he's got a Moonfall, and JoJo's doesn't for that fight. So I think correct decision not to fully contest in there. Matislaw just keeping everyone at bay. Let's take another look at the utter chaos that just ensued.
Yeah, and take a look onto Puki style here, because you mentioned it yourself, the stopwatch. But look at how much time it's creating them. They get to kind of reiterate where they want to stay on that fight. They get to change their position, and he lets the cooldown come down from Matislaw. He's able to get over the wall, he's able to take out LOCKIE, and as soon as that is down, that is the main damage stealer from the side of Anno. Rest of the time, well, that's just you killing an Ornn. There's not much to say to it. There's not much to do here, right?
Alright, recall's coming on through just about here as Kick looking for a couple of picks. They don't commit. I thought Raxxo would have gone for that one, to be honest, but they decide against it in the end. That would have been a pick onto JoJo's. Maybe could have been an opportunity, but Kick, this is a team we know for playing it fairly safe across the course of this tournament. They had a 7,000 gold lead, and they certainly don't want to let that go. And importantly, they got that most recent trick, so they've denied the soul. And Anno, they're banking on that soul. We already said how this is a team that have started to lose a little bit of that momentum that they had going on for themselves. And remember, Anno have to win this game if they want to keep their playoffs hopes alive. Kick are already out of playoffs, but right now they are saying, if we are going down, we are bringing you with us, Anorthosis.
And you can already see that Kick, they have identified the win condition from the side of Anno here. They know it's all about that backline. So if you take a look onto the inventories here, Munch, 2 Sonya's Hourglass has come out. One from Bruness. You usually see that on a Lillia, but also on the Sylas. And then the third item has come through from Puki style. It is just going to be that Guardian Angel, and they are posturing as if they want to start a fight here.
It's going to be a big sleep, but JoJo's gets onto Kackos. In the meantime, Moonfall flashed away from the Ornn, though Bruness gets onto 3 as well. Turns golden himself. Down go to Kick, still on top of the fight. In goes Dominant. LOCKIE hasn't been a part of any of this. He's just auto-attacking wards off to the side, but staying close enough that he can maybe get chased down now. Matislaw with a bit of movement speed from the gate, and LOCKIE's in trouble big time here. Killer Instinct on cooldown, and Matislaw wants a 1v1. The rest of Kick, they can go do Baron. Who cares about that? I want to see the 1v1, but LOCKIE gets out to safety.
Yeah, he's not having none of that. Level 15 Matislaw against 13 himself. And this time around, Munch, they're ready for that Baron. And that should be Kick on a verge of, I don't want to call it victory here, but you have a lot of tools right now to take over the game. You have a 1-3-1 composition with the Sylas as well, but let's get back into that later. We have a replay coming through, and Dominant, he's actually doing a really good job of creating a split fight that we know that they want to. But take a look onto LOCKIE. He's just walking back and forth towards this blue buff. As soon as the fight is over, that is when he's jumping in, but when he's going out, Dominant is going in, and it's this miscoordination that just make this fight impossible for Anno to fight.
Felt like Joe just went in alone there, and with Kackos surviving that attempt and flashing away from WouLou's ult as well, just felt like there was no coming back there. And you know, you said before that replay, you didn't want to call this one a win just yet. Kick it 10,000 gold up. They've got a composition that does well in the late game. Like, if this is not a win for Kick, they need to hang their heads in shame, because this is such an unbelievable lead. You got Matislaw on the Sylas with 3 items. You got 3.5 items on Puki style already. Like, if you can't win this one, you can't win any.
I've seen IG throw worse, but it is the ideal situation for their composition right here, where they have a Jayce as well. They could opt into a 1-3-1. They have decent pressure with the poke as well, so they could be a poke composition. They could be a 1-3-1. They can just straight up team fight if that's what they want.
Teamfight's what we've got on our hands here. Sleep going through onto 2 of them, but kubYD woken up by the Ornn. Gets hit by the second half. In goes LOCKIE onto Puki style. 1v1 with the AD carries, and LOCKIE's winning it out. One more auto does the trick, but the rest of the fight has all gone wrong. Sure, LOCKIE, you got the 1v1, but it just doesn't matter. 24 kills on the board at the 28-minute mark, and Kick return triumphant.
And I'm ready to call that a victory. And Kick, they will not go out of the Masters without a single victory on the board. They will retain some sort of pride for the Ultra League here, as they are flashing the rogue emote.
Yeah, this is a consolation prize for Kick, who are already out of playoffs, but for Anno, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Kick say, if we ain't going to playoffs, then you ain't either. They bring Anno down with them, and they take their 5th game of EU Masters.
And what a group this turned out to be. Some crazy games we got today. You can argue that this is never going to be the most high-level play of League of Legends we could get out there, but this is certainly some of the most interesting we could get. And once again, it's coming from the GLL, and it's coming from the Ultra Liga. These late-game team fights you get from the Ultra Liga, these early-game skirmishes that we've seen time and time again from Anno, are just incredibly entertaining, and it showcases the different styles of play. Even though we are Europe, even though we have one collective server, we still have different play styles when we go to different regions, and I love that about every time we get to your Masters, we see these team compositions clash together like this. This time around, Kick finally able to make that Ultra Liga style work, but unfortunately for them, just a bit too late. But Matislaw really coming in with a statement game to end this EU Masters for him.
And it has to be said, the Ultra Liga style, as you named it, not really quite being the Ultra Liga style here, where they played a much more aggressive game than I would have expected out of Kick here. But I liked it. This is what I would have loved to see from them earlier on. Matislaw on something that he has massive amounts of agency on, and we saw it in those early skirmishes. Matislaw literally took this game in the early game and went, right, we are taking this one. We need a win for ourselves, and like, let's be honest, Kick don't care whether Anorthosis make it to playoffs or not. So it was never about Anorthosis for them. It was about getting themselves a consolation win. Matislaw steps up. Puki in some of those fights as well, doing a really good job. I was really impressed by Kick here. I just wish we could have seen this a little earlier.
And that's the thing. Like, it's like, it's bitter, but it also retains that we know that they are capable of this, and whatever has been dealing with them, well, they may be ready to bring that back next split of Ultra League as well.
Well, that is going to be it for me and you, Gulbo. Yeah, was that? Oh, well, that was my last one of the day, so I'm going to call it a 10, and I don't care what he thinks. We're going to close out for ourselves. We're going to be replaced now. I've already forgotten who it is. I think it's Foxy and Hiprain, if I'm not mistaken. And then they'll be continuing the rest of this group. The first seed still needs to be decided, and we'll see how that goes down after the break.